Welcome to Learn from Audio. If you're looking for timeless wisdom to navigate life's challenges with clarity and strength, you're in the right place. Here, we break down the greatest books and ideas into engaging, easy-to-apply lessons. So, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey of knowledge and growth. Let's begin. Imagine waking up every day knowing that no matter what happens, whether you face betrayal, loss, or hardship, you have complete control over how you respond. This is the essence of Stoic philosophy, and no one embodied it better than Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled not just with power but with wisdom. In his private journal, now known as Meditations, he left behind timeless lessons on resilience, self-discipline, and the pursuit of inner peace. But this wasn't written for an audience. It was written for himself, a manual for life, a reminder of how to stay strong in a chaotic world. Today, we'll explore Meditations not just as an ancient text, but as a modern guide to mastering your mind and living with purpose. Get ready to learn 10 powerful lessons from Meditations, each one a tool to help you navigate life's challenges with calm and confidence. Lesson 1. Control what you can, ignore what you can't. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we don't control external events, only our responses. Imagine you're preparing for an important meeting, and suddenly, traffic comes to a standstill. Horns are blaring, the clock is ticking, and you feel frustration creeping in. You check the GPS, you're going to be late. At this moment, you have two choices. You can let stress consume you, or you can take a deep breath, accept the situation, and focus on what's within your control. Maybe you use the time to listen to an audiobook, reflect, or mentally prepare for your meeting. This idea, central to Stoicism, is echoed in modern psychology. Energy wasted on what we can't change drains us. Think about the last time you were upset over something beyond your control. Did worrying change the outcome? Probably not. Instead, it likely stole your peace and left you feeling powerless. Marcus Aurelius teaches us to redirect that energy inward, to focus on our attitude, our choices, and our mindset. Consider the story of James Stockdale, a U.S. Navy pilot who was captured during the Vietnam War. Imprisoned for over 7 years, Stockdale was tortured and subjected to brutal conditions. He had no control over his captors, no way to escape, and no idea when, if ever, he would be freed. But what did he control? His mindset. Stockdale refused to succumb to despair. He created a system of mental resilience, using Stoic principles to endure his suffering. He focused on small, actionable choices, communicating with fellow prisoners through secret codes, maintaining discipline, and never losing hope. His ability to control his reaction to an uncontrollable situation kept him strong. After his release, he credited Stoicism for saving his life. His story exemplifies Marcus Aurelius' lesson. No matter how dire the circumstances, we always have control over our inner world. A practical way to apply this is the circle of control exercise. Picture 3 concentric circles. 1. The innermost one represents things you can control, your thoughts, actions, and attitude. 2. The middle one represents things you can influence, relationships, work, and health. 3. To the outermost represents things completely out of your control, whether other people's opinions, global events. The goal: pour your energy into the first circle. The more you focus on what you can change, the more empowered you feel. So, here's the lesson. The key to inner peace lies in our ability to distinguish between what we can change and what we must accept. By focusing on our own thoughts, actions, and reactions, we reclaim our power from external chaos. Instead of wasting energy on things beyond our control, we can channel it into becoming stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The next time you face frustration, remember, control your mind, control your life. Accept what is, improve what you can, and let go of the rest. That is the essence of true strength, Most of our stress comes from resisting reality. The more we accept what we cannot change, the more peace we cultivate. Marcus Aurelius urges us to stop fighting the uncontrollable and start mastering ourselves. This doesn't mean we ignore problems. It means we respond with wisdom instead of frustration. So, next time something frustrates you, pause and ask, is this within my control? If not, let it go and move forward with clarity and strength. Lesson 2. Your thoughts shape your reality. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that our perception creates our experience of the world. It's not events themselves that trouble us, but our interpretation of them. A setback can either be a crushing defeat or a valuable lesson. It all depends on how we choose to see it. Imagine two people facing the same situation. They both lose their jobs unexpectedly. The first person spirals into despair, feeling like a failure. The second person sees it as an opportunity to finally pursue a career they've always wanted. The event is the same, but the interpretation is different. Aurelius reminds us that we suffer more from our own thoughts than from external events. If we constantly frame things in a negative light, we will live in a world of negativity. But if we train ourselves to see challenges as opportunities, we gain power over our circumstances rather than becoming victims of them. Consider the story of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the horrors of Nazi concentration camps. While enduring unimaginable suffering, he made a profound realization. Even in the worst conditions, no one could take away his ability to choose his thoughts. He found meaning in suffering by deciding how he would perceive it. Instead of despairing, he focused on helping fellow prisoners, keeping hope alive, and imagining a future where he could share his lessons with the world. After his release, he wrote Man's Search for Meaning, in which he emphasized this very Stoic principle: our thoughts determine our reality. By controlling how we interpret events, we can turn pain into wisdom, fear into courage, and suffering into strength. How can we apply this in daily life? Try the cognitive reframing technique. First, when faced with a setback, pause before reacting emotionally. Second, ask yourself, what's another way to look at this? Third, find the opportunity or lesson in the challenge. Fourth, take action based on this new perspective. For example, if someone insults you, instead of reacting with anger, you could reframe it as a reflection of their own insecurities, not a measure of your worth. By shifting your perspective, you stay in control rather than letting external events dictate your emotions. So, here's the lesson. Marcus Aurelius' wisdom reminds us that happiness and suffering are often a matter of perspective. Life will always present difficulties, but how we interpret them determines whether we grow stronger or become consumed by them. So, the next time you face a challenge, remember, you control how you see it. Choose to reframe obstacles as opportunities, and you'll transform your reality for the better. Lesson 3. The importance of living with purpose. Marcus Aurelius believed that a life without purpose is a life wasted. He urged himself, and us, to live each day with intention, knowing that time is our most precious resource. We don't have control over how long we live, but we do control how we use the time we have. Imagine waking up each morning knowing that today could be your last. How would that change your decisions? Would you waste time scrolling endlessly on your phone, engaging in petty arguments, or postponing your dreams for someday? Aurelius constantly reminded himself of his mortality, not to be morbid, but to sharpen his focus. He understood that when we embrace the impermanence of life, we stop taking time for granted and start using it wisely. Every wasted moment is a moment we'll never get back. There's a famous story about a nurse named Bronnie Ware, who spent years caring for patients in their final days. She recorded their biggest regrets, and the most common one was, "I wish I had lived a life true to myself, not what others expected of me." Many realized too late that they had spent years chasing someone else's version of success instead of pursuing their own true calling. Aurelius teaches us to define our purpose now, before it's too late. He reminds us that our time is limited, and we must act before regret sets in. So how do we apply this lesson? Try these 3 steps. First, clarify your values. What truly matters to you? Write it down. Second, eliminate distractions. Identify the habits and activities that waste your time. And third, take daily action. Do something every day that aligns with your values and goals. For example, if personal growth is important to you, dedicate time to reading or learning new skills. If relationships matter most, prioritize quality time with loved ones. Small and consistent actions lead to a purposeful life. So, here's the lesson. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that life is too short to be spent on meaningless pursuits. If we don't take control of our time, distractions and trivial matters will consume it for us. So ask yourself, am I living with purpose or just going through the motions? Make today count, because the clock is always ticking. Lesson 4. Mastering your emotions. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that emotions are powerful, but they should never control us. He believed that true strength lies in mastering our reactions, rather than being ruled by anger, fear, or sadness. In a world filled with daily frustrations, how can we maintain our composure and act with wisdom instead of impulse? Imagine you receive an insulting message from a coworker. Your first instinct might be to lash out, firing back with an equally harsh response. But after the heat of the moment fades, you regret your reaction. The damage is done, and the situation has escalated. Aurelius reminds us, an insult only has power if we allow it to affect us. No one can make us angry. Our emotions come from within. If we can pause before reacting, we regain control over our actions and avoid unnecessary conflict. Consider the story of Abraham Lincoln. As a young lawyer, he had a habit of writing scathing letters to those who offended him. However, over time, he learned the power of restraint. When he felt the urge to react in anger, he would write a letter, but instead of sending it, he placed it in a drawer and never mailed it. This simple act gave him time to reflect, allowing reason to replace emotional impulse. Lincoln's ability to manage his emotions helped him lead a divided nation through its darkest times. Like Aurelius, he understood that wisdom comes from thinking before reacting. How can we master our emotions in daily life? Try the pause technique. First, when triggered, stop and take a deep breath. Second, identify the emotion. Is it anger, fear, frustration? Third, ask yourself, will this matter in a day, a month, a year? And fourth, choose your response wisely. Act from reason, not impulse. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of yelling, remind yourself that getting angry won't change anything. Let it go and keep your peace. So, here's the lesson. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that self-control is the foundation of true strength. The ability to regulate our emotions allows us to navigate life's challenges with clarity and wisdom. So next time you feel anger or frustration bubbling up, remember, you have the power to choose your response. Master your emotions, and you master your life. Lesson 5. The power of routine and discipline. Marcus Aurelius believed that discipline is the foundation of a meaningful life. Without structure, our goals remain dreams, and our ambitions fade into mere wishes. He knew that small, consistent actions shape our character and determine our destiny. So, how do we harness the power of discipline to create a life of purpose and fulfillment? Think of a great athlete, artist, or philosopher. None of them achieved mastery overnight. Their success was built on daily habits, their willingness to show up even when they didn't feel like it. Aurelius himself adhered to a strict routine, rising early to write, reflect, and prepare himself mentally for the day. He understood that discipline is not about motivation, It's about commitment. Waiting until you feel like it is a recipe for failure. Instead, creating a structure for your day ensures that you make progress, even on the days when inspiration is lacking. One of the best modern examples of discipline is Jocko Willink, a former Navy SEAL commander. Every day, without fail, he wakes up at 4:30 a.m. and posts a picture of his watch as proof. He doesn't do this for motivation. He does it because discipline equals freedom. By controlling his routine, he gains control over his life. He trains, reads, and works, all before most people are even awake. Like Aurelius, Jocko understands that the small daily choices we make define who we become. Success isn't about grand gestures. It's about consistency. How can we apply this lesson in our daily lives? Here are 3 strategies. First, create a non-negotiable routine. Set fixed times for important activities, like reading, exercising, journaling, and stick to them. Second, start small. Stay consistent. Instead of overwhelming yourself with big changes, commit to small daily improvements. And third, eliminate distractions. Remove temptations that pull you away from your goals, like put your phone in another room while working. For example, if you want to read more, commit to just 1 page a day. Over time, that small habit will grow into something powerful. The key is to show up, no matter how small the effort may seem. So, here's the lesson. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that discipline is the bridge between goals and achievements. A meaningful life isn't built in a day. It's built in the thousands of small daily choices we make. So ask yourself, what small discipline can I start today? Because in the end, our habits define our future. Lesson 6. Embracing adversity as a path to growth. Marcus Aurelius believed that challenges are not obstacles, they are opportunities for growth. He saw hardship not as something to be feared, but as a necessary force that shapes us into stronger, wiser individuals. This idea is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. The obstacle is the way. Most people try to avoid difficulty. We seek comfort, stability, and ease. But Aurelius teaches us that adversity is not the enemy, it is the teacher. Every struggle, setback, and hardship carries a lesson, if we are willing to see it. One of the best modern examples of this mindset is Thomas Edison. After working tirelessly on an invention, a fire burned down his entire laboratory. His life's work, gone in an instant. Instead of breaking down, Edison famously said, "Thank goodness all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start fresh." And he did. Not long after, he went on to develop some of his greatest inventions. Like Aurelius, Edison understood that setbacks are not the end of the road, they are part of the process. The key is how we choose to respond. Do we let adversity defeat us, or do we use it as fuel to push forward? How can we train ourselves to embrace adversity rather than run from it? Here are 3 practical ways. First, reframe the struggle. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Second, adopt the anti-fragile mindset. Just like muscles grow stronger from resistance, we grow mentally stronger when we endure hardship. The more we face, the more resilient we become. And third, take action despite difficulties. Instead of waiting for perfect conditions, move forward regardless of obstacles. Growth comes from action, not avoidance. For example, if you experience failure in your career, instead of seeing it as a sign to quit, view it as a stepping stone toward a better path. Maybe that failure is redirecting you toward something even greater. So, here's the lesson. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that adversity is not something to escape, it is something to embrace. The strongest people are not those who have never faced hardship, but those who have faced it and grown because of it. So the next time you encounter a challenge, ask yourself, how can I use this to become stronger? Because the struggles we endure today shape the strength we carry tomorrow. Lesson 7. The power of gratitude and contentment. Marcus Aurelius understood a simple yet profound truth. Happiness does not come from acquiring more, but from appreciating what we already have. In a world obsessed with chasing success, wealth, and status, he teaches us that true contentment lies in gratitude and recognizing the value of the present moment. Modern society often conditions us to believe that we'll be happy when we get that promotion, when we buy that car, when we achieve that goal. But the problem is, once we reach that milestone, a new desire takes its place. This endless cycle of wanting more leads to dissatisfaction and anxiety. Aurelius reminds us that nothing external can truly fulfill us. Instead of looking outward for happiness, we must cultivate it from within by appreciating what we already have. Imagine a wealthy businessman who, despite his success, feels constantly restless. One day, he visits a small fishing village and meets a fisherman who spends his mornings fishing and his afternoons relaxing with family. The businessman tells him, if you worked harder, you could buy more boats, build a fishing empire, and retire wealthy. The fisherman smiles and asks, "And then what?" The businessman replies, "Then you could relax and enjoy life." The fisherman laughs. "But I'm already doing that." This simple story captures the essence of Aurelius' wisdom. We don't need more to be happy. We need to recognize the happiness we already have. How can we shift our mindset from chasing more to appreciating enough? Try these steps. First, start a gratitude journal. Each morning or night, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Second, pause before complaining. When you feel frustrated, ask yourself, is this truly a problem, or am I overlooking what I already have? And third, practice mindfulness. Take time to enjoy the present moment, whether it's a meal, a conversation, or the simple act of breathing. For example, instead of stressing over not having the latest gadget, reflect on the comfort, security, and relationships you already possess. Shifting your focus to what's abundant in your life fosters deeper fulfillment. So, here's the lesson. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that contentment is not found in more, it is found in appreciating what we already have. The pursuit of happiness is not about gaining, but about recognizing. So ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? Because the more we acknowledge the good in our lives, the less we feel the need to chase what we don't have. Lesson 8. Accepting impermanence and letting go. Marcus Aurelius constantly reflected on the fleeting nature of life. He understood that everything, our successes, our failures, our possessions, even our own existence, is temporary. Instead of fearing this truth, he embraced it. Accepting impermanence, he believed, frees us from attachment and allows us to live fully in the present moment. Many of us cling tightly to things, our status, our possessions, our relationships, out of fear of loss. We believe that if we just hold on tightly enough, we can stop change from happening. But the truth is, everything in life is in a constant state of flux. The seasons change, people come and go, and even the strongest structures eventually crumble. Fighting this reality only brings suffering. Aurelius teaches us that the key to inner peace is to stop resisting the inevitable. When we let go of our need to control and accept that everything is temporary, we experience true freedom. Consider the story of a Japanese Zen master who received a beautiful porcelain cup as a gift. He cherished it, admired its craftsmanship, and used it daily. But whenever he looked at the cup, he reminded himself, "This cup is already broken." He understood that one day, it would crack or shatter, and by accepting its impermanence from the start, he freed himself from attachment. So, when the day finally came and the cup broke, he simply smiled. He had already let it go long before it happened. This story mirrors Aurelius' philosophy. When we accept that everything is transient, we stop living in fear of loss and start appreciating the present moment more deeply. How can we learn to embrace impermanence instead of resisting it? Here are 3 ways. First, detach from outcomes. Focus on effort and intention rather than obsessing over results. Accept that some things are beyond your control. Second, practice non-attachment. Appreciate people, experiences, and possessions without depending on them for happiness. And third, reflect on impermanence daily. Remind yourself that everything is temporary. This moment, your worries, your achievements. This helps cultivate gratitude and resilience. For example, instead of dreading the end of a vacation, savor every moment while it lasts. Instead of fearing aging, embrace the wisdom and experiences that come with time. Letting go isn't about being indifferent. It's about fully appreciating life as it is, without clinging to what must eventually change. So, here's the lesson. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that impermanence is not something to fear, it is something to accept and embrace. The more we resist change, the more we suffer. But when we let go of attachment and live in the present, we find true peace. So ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I need to release? Because the sooner we accept impermanence, the freer we become. Lesson 9. Stop seeking approval from others. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in the world, yet he did not waste his time trying to impress others. Unlike many rulers who obsessed over their image, he understood a simple truth. No matter what you do, people will always have opinions. So why let them control your life? Imagine a young Marcus Aurelius, long before he became emperor, walking through the streets of Rome. He overhears 2 men whispering about him. He's too quiet to be a leader, one says. He's not as charismatic as the others, the other adds. He could have let their words shake him. He could have changed himself, tried to please everyone, or sought constant validation. But instead, he turned to philosophy. He realized that chasing approval was like trying to catch the wind, impossible and exhausting. Years later, as emperor, he still faced critics. Senators plotted against him. Citizens gossiped. Some loved him, some hated him. But he remained unshaken. He wrote in Meditations, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. How often do we hold back because we're afraid of what others might think? We don't start that project because people might criticize it. We don't wear what we like because we fear judgment. We don't speak up because we might sound foolish." But Marcus Aurelius would remind us, most people are too busy thinking about themselves to think about you. And even if they do judge you, their opinions are fleeting, just passing thoughts that will be forgotten tomorrow. Instead of seeking approval, ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my values? Am I making choices that I respect? Would my future self be proud of how I lived today? So, here's the lesson. When you stop chasing approval, you gain something far more valuable: freedom. You are free to be yourself, to pursue what matters, and to live a life that is truly yours. People's opinions will always change, but your integrity and self-respect will stay with you forever. So the next time you hesitate because of what others might think, remember Marcus's wisdom. You were not born to please everyone. You were born to live fully, with purpose and conviction. Lesson 10. Death is inevitable. Leave fully today. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, often reminded himself that death is not something to fear, but something to prepare for. He understood that every breath brings us one step closer to our final moment. Instead of dreading this reality, he used it as fuel, to live with purpose, to act with virtue, and to never waste a single day. Imagine a Roman gladiator, standing in the arena, waiting for the gates to open. He does not know if he will live to see another sunset. But he does not waste time lamenting his fate. He sharpens his sword, breathes deeply, and steps forward with courage. Marcus Aurelius saw life much the same way. He ruled Rome, commanded armies, and made decisions that shaped history. But unlike other rulers who obsessed over power and immortality, he knew that even the greatest emperors must die. He wrote in Meditations, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This was not a message of despair, it was a call to action. If today were your last day, would you spend it complaining? Worrying about things that don't matter? Arguing over petty things? Or would you embrace life fully, appreciate those around you, and make your actions count? We live in an age of distractions, doom scrolling, mindless arguments, constant busyness with little purpose. We assume we have endless tomorrows to start that project, to call that friend, to say, "I love you." But the truth is, none of us are guaranteed another day. Marcus would urge us to ask, what if today were your last? Would you still be afraid to chase your dreams? Would you waste time holding grudges? Would you ignore the simple joys of life, sunlight on your skin, laughter with friends, the taste of your morning coffee? Instead of fearing death, use it as motivation. Live fully, love deeply, and leave nothing important unsaid. Because in the end, the best way to prepare for death is to truly live. So, here's the lesson. Next time you catch yourself postponing something important, remind yourself, memento mori, remember you must die. Not to be afraid, but to wake up. To live in a way that, when the final moment comes, you can smile and say, "I have lived." We have journeyed through the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, uncovering lessons on resilience, self-discipline, gratitude, and the power of our own minds. But knowledge alone is not enough. What truly matters is how we apply these teachings in our daily lives. Growth doesn't come from grand, sweeping transformations. It comes from small, consistent shifts in how we think and act. Maybe today, you take a deep breath before reacting to a stressful situation. Maybe tomorrow, you pause to appreciate what you have instead of dwelling on what's missing. These tiny changes, compounded over time, shape the person you become. Before we wrap up, let's quickly revisit the 10 timeless lessons from Meditations. 1. Control your mind. Control your life. Your thoughts shape your reality. Master them, and you master life. 2. You can't control everything. Only your response. External events are beyond your control, but your reaction is always in your hands. 3. Live with purpose and integrity. Act with virtue, follow your values, and live a life that aligns with your true principles. 4. Embrace discomfort and hardship. Struggles are inevitable, but they are also the best teachers. Growth comes through adversity. 5. Don't be ruled by emotions. Anger, fear, and envy are fleeting. Learn to observe them without letting them control you. 6. Happiness comes from gratitude and contentment. True fulfillment isn't about acquiring more, but appreciating what you already have. 7. Let go of attachments and accept change. Everything is temporary. Accepting impermanence brings peace. 8. Be present and take action. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. What matters is what you do right now. 9. Stop seeking approval from others. You can't please everyone. Focus on your own path and let go of the need for validation. 10. Death is inevitable. Live fully today. Life is short. Instead of fearing death, use it as a reminder to make each day count. Now that you've explored these lessons, how will you apply them? Start small. Reflect on one insight that resonated with you. Write it down. Practice it today. And when you stumble, because you will, return to these teachings, just as Marcus Aurelius did with his own writings. If you found value in this journey, make sure to subscribe and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's continue learning, growing, and embracing the wisdom that has stood the test of time. Thank you for listening, and remember, you have the power to shape your mind, your actions, and ultimately your life.